Hello and welcome to a new season of Q&A. It's been a long time since I've done these. I used to try and do them weekly, and I think we did that for like 10 weeks or something like that. So this is going to be called episode 1, but there will be another episode 1 Q&A, so don't get confused. This is a new season. If you're new here, my name is James. I run Kibble Watches, where we buy and sell and trade watches from pre-owned to brand new to vintage to modern to a couple of £100 to tens of thousands of pounds. The scope really is wide, and every Saturday we release new watches on the website at kibblewatches.co.uk. Now, in this series, I'm basically going to answer a few of the questions you guys and girls have asked, whether it be here on YouTube in the comment section. So if you have a question you'd like answered in another video, please leave it down there. I also put it on the stories as like a question box and in our broadcast list as well. So I have a few questions here today that I'm going to sort of go through and answer as honestly and as fairly as I possibly can and give you as much insight as possible. Some of the questions are obviously business related, some of them are watch related, and some of them are just random questions. So do not hesitate to put that question down there, whatever it might be. I will do my best to answer it. This is obviously going to go up on YouTube. My goal is to make this a weekly thing. I'm going to endeavour to make that happen, but obviously please be aware I do run a business and it is very busy, and I have 2 young children, so finding the time to fit all this in can be a bit difficult, but I'm going to endeavour to make it happen every single week, so fingers crossed I'm able to achieve that. And before we crack on with the questions I have, I'm going to do a quick wristwatch check. I'm actually wearing a gorgeous 1988 Seiko Quartz Silver Wave Z. This is, they call it the Royal Oak model. Exact reference is 7123-8060 with that beautiful dial, really cool case. It comes with a Seiko bracelet as well, but right now I've got it paired on this grey suede strap, which I think really works for the design of the watch. So that's what's on wrist whilst I do this, and I'll do a wrist check every time I do this. If you watch the drop video after this, I'm probably wearing the same watch and look exactly the same. The reason being I'm trying to record them together just to make the most of that recording time. So that explains that. So now on to the questions. I have a fair few. Some of them are from people who wish to remain anonymous. They didn't want their name stated. If that's the case, just make that clear. I have no problem with that at all. Some of them are from Instagram, so your Instagram handle, and some people have just asked for their first name. So we'll crack on with those. We're going to start with a very good question, and what a great question to start this year with. Why have an appointment-only office and not a physical shop? This is something that comes up quite a lot actually in the office. And it's not usually, a criticism of having an office and not a shop. It's usually just like genuinely curious. And before I go into my answer, I'd love to know down in the comments, what would you prefer as a consumer? Do you like the idea of an appointment-only office where you have to book an appointment, you have to come in that designated time slot, which is usually 45 minutes to an hour? Or would you prefer a shop where you just walk in and hope you get to, see me when I'm there, I'm not with a customer, and you get to sort of look at everything and everything's on display? Let me know. I'm genuinely curious. But my reasoning for this, there's obviously multiple reasons. One of them is just cost. That's a very clear factor. It costs more to have a shop, regardless of where it is. The appointment-only office I have here in Clerkenwell, it's about 250 square feet. It's not a big office at all. It's quite small, but it does everything I need it to do. We have the nice seating area. I have obviously my desk here where I work, and we have the back office where all the boxes, packaging stuff, all the safes, everything like that is all back there, tucked away nicely and out of display really. So all the messy side of the business. So yes, the cost factor is a major factor, and also insurance. Insuring a shop is not as easy as it sounds. And just to be completely transparent with you, a lot of shops, to cover the cost of insurance, will have to sell a huge amount of watches. Insurance is already more expensive than my rent for this place, and insurance is one of the major costs of the business. As you probably expect, we have to go to dedicated insurance brokers who deal with this kind of classified as high-risk insurance, right? So we pay a lot for insurance. There's a lot of guidelines, a lot of things we have to follow, a lot of security procedures that are in place. All of those things are just easier when you're in an office, when you can manage who is coming in, how many people, what's on display. For example, we don't actually have watches on display other than a few trinkety bits here and there, which aren't really of any value. But in terms of the actual stock, it's all in the safe, it's all tucked away. It can't be accessed other than by me. And when people book an appointment, you have to state what watches you want to see. And there's obviously a limit on how many watches I will get out at a time. Whereas a shop, if you have everything on display, there's a lot of risk factor there, and there's a lot of insurance cover, which I have to be honest, having been quoted for those kind of things, because obviously I looked at shops in the past and I have continued to sort of play around with the idea. For me to be fully insured there, I can't quite see how the numbers would actually add up, to be honest with you. So that's just me being very transparent. That's not me saying the guys who have shops aren't insured. I'm just saying the amount they would have to sell and where their profit margins would have to be truly insured to exactly everything. I can't quite see how that would work. Another major factor for me is privacy and security. Obviously, we've just gone over security. It's a lot easier to manage security. Who's coming in? I get your details before. If you've not come to the office before, I typically ask for a photo of ID and things like that. I can manage the security a lot better. And I can manage who's in it. And it's also better for your privacy. If you're in a shop and you're stood there buying a watch and there's someone not so great, watching over, a thief or something, they can see that you've just bought that watch, it's gone in that bag and you've left. And they can follow you. Having worked in retail in the past, these situations happened. I'm not saying that's a factor of why you shouldn't go to a shop. I'm just explaining my reasoning for preferring this. It's more secure, it's more private for you and for me. We get to sit there and have that dedicated one-on-one time together, which is a major factor as well. You get those 45 minutes to an hour exclusively with me, discussing with you what you want to look at and go over what you want to do. Whereas with a shop, if there's another customer waiting or it's a bit busy, you've got to split your time better. And it's quite a difficult task, As I say, having worked retail, having worked in shops for many years before, that aspect I didn't particularly like, the pressure of having to move from one person to the next, quickly close the deal, get things sorted. We get to spend the time and have a relaxing, comfortable conversation with privacy and security and everything that comes with it. So that's my reasoning really, multiple reasons. I'd love to know what your thoughts and opinions are. This isn't me saying I will never have a shop. Maybe I will one day, but it's just not something on the table for me at this time. I really enjoy this one-on-one interaction that I get to have with my customers every day in the office. Okay, next, a question from Instagram at Nailing72. Hope you're keeping well and enjoying your watches. What is the one watch you've not yet sold? I'm going to assume that's just in general, not like something from the collection or anything like that. But a watch that there's many. I have not sold every watch, far from it, but a watch I would love to get my hands on to sell would be probably a Patek 1463, I think the reference is, 1463. Beautiful chronograph, Breguet numerals, just absolutely gorgeous. I'd love to have one of those. I mean, it'd be an honor to own something like that. I just don't think that's on the cards, but to potentially get one in to sell, I think that could be something in the future. That is something I'd love. And obviously there's so many watches, but that comes to mind just immediately off the top of my head. A question from WhatsApp from Chris. Funny enough, I have two questions from WhatsApp, both called Chris. So first one, do you have a favorite watch complication? Great question. I love most complications because the history of the complication fascinates me. Almost all of the complications, if not all of the complications in watches, come from necessity from the past. So my favorite is actually the minute repeater, and the history of the minute repeater is fascinating. We take for granted simple things today, like being able to tell the time in the dark, right? We have lume, or you have a light by your bed. You've got to think back to pocket watch days before wristwatches. When the candle light went out and all you had was moonlight in the sky, how would you tell the time at night? Lume wasn't a thing. You couldn't have radioactive materials in your watch typically until much later. So they invented the minute repeater, where you would chime your pocket watch and hold it to your ear or just in nearby vicinity to hear what the time is. I mean, that to me is fascinating because, again, it takes everything we love today of the convenience of modern society, and it just sort of makes you realize, wow, yes, of course, that makes a lot of sense. Same with chronographs, just timing things. Same with doctor's watches, right, where you'd have the time displayed at the top and the running seconds at the bottom in a display just as big as the top one. That would be so you could read the heartbeat in 60 seconds or whatever it might be, 30 seconds, as clearly as possible. All of these things were done out of necessity. And today, obviously, as I say, we take it mostly for granted. So my favorite has to be minute repeater. Let me know down in the comments what's your favorite complication and why. Okay, now for a anonymous question. Any big plans for 2025 for the business? I have to be honest, this year, obviously, I've got multiple things in the works and lots of things I want to do, but nothing absolutely crazy. No sort of game-changing things are going to happen this year, I don't think. You never know. Last year was a great year. The year before was a great year. I kind of want to just continue on that path and just make incremental changes that just elevate the experience of buying a Kibble watches. For example, I'm going to be making some small changes to the office again, and it's been a gradual process over the years. If you visited this office or even my old office, which was terrible, but if you ever visited the offices over the years, you'll see things have just constantly changed ever so slightly just to make it better. And that's what I'm going to be doing with the website this year. We're going to be making some changes to the website. Nothing too drastic, but small changes that just elevate the experience. I've been asking for your feedback. I have got a ton of feedback from you all, which is fantastic, and a lot of it is going to be implemented. So yeah, that's what it is this year. I mean, I'm going to try and do more events, maybe more podcasts. So if anyone's watching who runs podcasts and wants to have me on, shoot me a message. I'd love to do it. I've done a couple now, and they're good fun. So yeah, just trying to incrementally improve things for you guys and girls. So that's the plan for this year. A random one from WhatsApp, Chris, another Chris, as I say, what is your favourite flavour of crisp? So I don't really eat crisps that often, but if I do, I'd get like a spicy pack of something, or just salted, or to be honest, a guilty pleasure, prawn cocktail. There you go. Another anonymous question, what is your grail watch? Depends on when you ask me. Probably it changes hourly. So just something just off the top of my head, something I've always loved and always would love to own, would be probably a Patek Philippe Calatrava reference 96, like a vintage Breguet numeral, any metal. I'm not fussy. If anyone's got one they want to gift to me, by all means, please. But that is a grail of mine, Francois Bourgel case. Anyone who knows me knows I have a fair few Midos and Movados with Francois Bourgel cases, because I just love that style, and I'm fortunate to have a Mido that's kind of pretty much a Patek Philippe Calatrava 96, essentially, in a way. So yeah, that would probably be it on this video. So if you ask me next video, it'll probably be something different. A question from Instagram from June Ian. When would you buy a piece from retail apart from Daytona, Nautilus and Royal Oak? I don't think I'm ever going to get offered those, but I get what you're saying. So I've bought multiple watches from retail over the years, and my reasons vary massively. The whole retail experience thing, I get why a lot of people want it. The white glove service, as I say, I used to work retail, so I used to be that chap in a full suit, with the white glove, with the champagne, giving you that service. I get how people really like that. It doesn't really do much for me, to be honest. So for me, it comes out of necessity and ease. If I can't get the watch pre-owned, or I've been looking for a while and I'm getting impatient, I will try and get a good deal at retail. For example, I have a beautiful Hamilton Murph, the 38mm. I bought that brand new at retail because the deal was good, and I've been waiting ages to get one pre-owned, and just none have come my way. So I got impatient and bought it new instead. Another major thing for me when buying new at retail is supporting the businesses. So I have a lot of independent or smaller British brands. As a lot of you will know, I have brands from Schofield, Pinion, many others. I can't think of them off the top of my head at the moment. Studio Underdog, Arkan, how can I forget that one? I've got the Ear of the Dragon. All of those watches I've bought new from the brands themselves, with the owners oftentimes. So it's just a way to support those guys. So that's when I buy at retail, to either support the brand or the business itself, or because I'm impatient and I can't wait, or the deal's just really good. Sometimes that does happen at retail. I'm not opposed to retail. A lot of people think, there's a continuous battle between retail and pre-owned. No, I worked retail. I now run a pre-owned business. I have friends still at retail. I work closely with some retailers still to this day. At the end of the day, there's enough room for all of us, and I think we just have to accept we run different parts of the industry. I don't think there's a problem there. And the final question for today, thoughts on the new Vacheron 222 in steel and its insane price. Well, the Vacheron 222, historically so significant, a beautiful watch. When they reintroduced the gold, it was incredibly beautiful. I've seen it in person once, and my God, I wish I had the money to buy that. It's beautiful. In terms of the insane price for the steel, I've got it noted here. The retail price of the steel is £30,800, which obviously sounds insane, and it's a lot of money. But when you really take a step back and consider what it's paired against in the market, it's not too drastic. Obviously, it's still a lot of money. At the end of the day, that's inevitable. People saying, "Oh, you could just buy a PRX." You're missing the point, in my opinion, when that's the comparison. But hey ho. The Royal Oak 15100 ST Blue, which is I would argue, probably the comparative. It's the only one I can really find retail price on. That's £24,800, but obviously you can't get it at retail. They trade somewhere closer to 27 to 30 typically. So again, similar sort of price. And then Patek Philippe, obviously the only Nautilus, the standard Nautilus still is now the white gold one, which is 61,870 retail. Again, you can't get it, and again, it's irrelevant. But I thought it was quite interesting. The Still Ladies Nautilus automatic, the 7118/1A in blue, is £27,860. So again, I don't think the price is actually outrageous. I think it's in line with what it's competing against, its historic values, and also just what it is and how long the community has been waiting for something like this. Are they probably price gouging a bit? I mean, yeah, but what brand isn't? You know, at the end of the day, if you've got the kind of money to spend and get that watch, I think people are going to pull the trigger. I know a few collectors who have already put in an order for one. I think it looks gorgeous, though. I think it's a beautiful watch, and I don't think the price is as outrageous when you take a step back. Initially, when I first heard it, I was like, whoa, crikey. But again, when you take a step back, compare what it's against, what market space is it in, all those kind of things, you go, okay, I get it, personally. But yeah, that's it for this week's Q&A. I hope you've enjoyed it. Any further questions, please let me know down in the comment section, and I'll be sure to answer them. If you have asked a question for this video, and it's not been answered, keep an eye out over the next few videos. I will try and put them in. I just don't want these videos being like an hour long, which they could very easily be. So thank you all very much, and we'll see you all again, all being well, next week for another Q&A. We'll see you then. Take care.